Hi everyone. So this past week has been pretty painful and upsetting, and this whole time really, but I wanted to read a portion of a sermon given by Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So I don't come from a religious background, but I am speaking as somebody who has spent over a decade at churches across the country singing as section leader. And so I was there twice a week for rehearsal and then for the Sunday service. But let me tell you, as a mixed race American, I was always treated with love and respect. And honestly, I still think about a lot of those people every day. I mean, I hadn't gone into a church until really my first church gig, but still they impacted me every day. It's hard to describe. But so every year during MLK Day, I would go into his speeches and I'd read his letters and his writings, and it's hard to describe how much they mean to me. So instead, I wanted to read you something very special, and it's on the monument in DC, and it's talking about the succumbing to the drum major instinct of needing to be first, of needing to be most important, of needing to be supreme. And Jesus says yes to his disciples. Those are good instincts. You want to be first and you want to be best, but you want to be first in love. You want to be best in moral excellence. You want to be supreme in generosity. And so this speech is below in the link. You can read along. The parts in italic are for the audience callback. I want you to say what's ever in your heart or what's on the page. Just say it loud and unafraid. It's okay. And thank you so much. I give you the excerpts from Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech, The Drum Major Instinct. So Jesus, he transformed the situation by giving a new definition of greatness. And do you know how he said it? He said, "Now brethren, I can't give you greatness, and really I can't make you first." This is what Jesus said to James and John. You must earn it. True greatness comes not by favoritism, but by fitness. And the right hand and the left hand are not mine to give. They belong to those who are prepared. And so Jesus gave us a new norm of greatness. If you want to be important, wonderful. If you want to be recognized, wonderful. If you want to be great, wonderful. But recognize that he who is greatest among you shall be your servant. That is a new definition of greatness. And this morning, the thing that I like about it, by giving the new definition of greatness, it means that everybody can be great because everybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to have your subject and your verbs agree to serve. You don't have to know about Plato and Aristotle to serve. You don't have to know about Einstein's theory of relativity to serve. You don't have to know the second theory of thermodynamics and physics to serve. You only need a heart full of grace and a soul generated by love. You can be a servant. I know a man, and I just want to talk about him for maybe a minute, and maybe you'll discover who I'm talking about as I go down the way, because he was a great one, and he just went about serving. He was born in an obscure village, the child of a poor peasant woman. And then he grew up in still another obscure village where he worked as a carpenter until he was 30 years old. Then for 3 years, he just got on his feet and he was an itinerant preacher. He went about doing some things. He didn't have much, you know? He didn't write a book. He never held an office. He never had a family. He never owned a house. He never went to college. He never visited a big city. He never went 200 miles from where he was born. He did none of the usual things that this world would associate with greatness. He had no credentials but himself. 19 centuries have come and gone, and today he stands as the most influential figure that ever entered human history. All of the armies that have ever marched, and all the navies that have ever sailed, all the parliaments that have ever sat, and all the kings that have ever reigned put together have not affected the life on earth as much as this man, this one solitary life. His name may be a familiar one, but today I can hear them talking about him. Everybody, they say he's King of Kings. And then again, I can hear somebody saying he's Lord of Lords. Somewhere I can hear somebody saying, in Christ there is no east nor west. And then they go on and talk about, in him there is no north and no south. The one great fellowship of love throughout the whole wide world. He didn't have anything. He just went around serving and doing good. This morning, you can be on his right hand and his left if you serve. It's the only way to get in. And every now and then, I guess we all think realistically about the day when we will be victimized by what is life's final common denominator. That's something that we call death. And we all think about it, and now and then I think about my own death, and I think about my own funeral. And I don't know, I don't think of it in a morbid sense. And every now and then when I ask myself, what is it that I would want said? And I leave the word to you this morning. If any of you are around when I have to meet my day, I don't want a long funeral. And if you get somebody to deliver the eulogy, tell them not to talk too long. And every now and then, I wonder what I want them to say. Tell them not to mention the Nobel Peace Prize, that is not important. Tell them not to mention that I have 300 or 400 something awards, that is not important. Tell them not to mention where I went to school. I'd like somebody to mention that day that Martin Luther King Jr. tried to give his life serving others. I'd like for somebody to say that day that Martin Luther King Jr. tried to love somebody. I want you to say on that day that I tried to be right on the war question. I want you to be able to say that day that I did try to feed the hungry. And I want you to be able to say that day that I did try in my life to clothe those that were naked. I want you to say on that day that I did try in my life to visit those who were in prison. I want you to say that I tried to love and serve humanity. Yes, if you want to say that I was a drum major, say that I was a drum major for justice. Say that I was a drum major for peace. Say that I was a drum major for righteousness, and all the other shallow things will not matter. I won't have any money to leave behind. I won't have the fine and luxurious things of life to leave behind, but I just want to leave a committed life behind. And that's all I want to say. Now everyone, say these words with me until the end. If I can help somebody as I pass along, if I can cheer somebody with a word or song, if I can show somebody he's traveling wrong, then my living will not be in vain. If I can do my duty as a Christian ought, if I can bring salvation to a world once wrought, if I can spread the message as the Master taught, then my living will not be in vain. Yes, Jesus, I want to be on your right and your left side, but not for any selfish reason. I want to be on your right and your left side, not in terms of some political kingdom or ambition, but I just want to be there in love and in justice and in truth and commitment to others so that we can make this old world a new world. So, thank you so much for listening. Please donate to your house of worship or tithe to whom you see fit. I'm currently working on feeding the needy in Harlem food pantries, and if you'd like, the information is below. Black Lives Matter, thank you again.